Hey, it's David Edgerton. And today I want to talk about something that I've been seeing a lot recently, especially with the new regulations for the real estate industry regarding commissions. This is something that I'm seeing firsthand in on the ground deals that I'm negotiating. And I was reminded of this by reading an article recently. And I want to go into this. And one way that I want to paint the picture is by describing a hypothetical story on how this is playing out. So imagine this: a home buyer, let's call him Bob the buyer, has found his dream home for his family. And he has hired a buyer's agent to help him, and that agent do have a signed agreement, a contract that says that he's going to get a 3% commission of the sales price that is paid to the agent at closing. So far, everything is normal. This is how, all transactions normally happen. There's a buyer agent that signs an agreement with the buyer to help them. Everything sounds good, but the buyer's agent starts to get a little nervous because when that buyer's agent inquired with the listing agent, the seller did not promise to pay the buyer's agency commission. Back in the past, there was a upfront blanket statement that sellers were required to put into the MLS where that seller was going to pay X amount in a buyer's agency fee. Now those days have changed. And if a seller doesn't make that upfront statement, now Bob's agent is getting a little nervous because he doesn't know if his commission is guaranteed to happen. So when Bob's agent reached out to the listing agent, says the seller is willing to consider any and all requests, including paying for a buyer's agency commission. However, all requests need to be put in writing with a formal written offer. But this doesn't appease Bob's agent. He's still nervous. Now, Bob's agent takes this information back to Bob and says, listen, my commission is not guaranteed to be paid by the seller. That means that you're going to have to pay for it. And this plants a seed of doubt. And Bob now is getting cold feet on this whole thing. And when he confronts and asks his agent about it, the agent says, we just need to go see another house. We need to skip this house altogether. Now, as I've just outlined, this is happening every single day all around the United States by probably thousands and thousands of real estate agents. So the big problem, as you can clearly imagine, is that Bob and his agent have no idea if the seller was going to pay the full commission or not. And the way that the listing agent made it sound was anything will be considered, but you got to put in an offer. But now this new form of steering where an agent will tell the buyer to go buy another property, this is happening more frequently now because of commissions and the improper messages by these agents who seem to be coming from a place where they're not willing to negotiate, or they don't know how to negotiate, or they're just not writing up the offer in the right way that is helpful for not only their buyer, but just for a seller who wants to sell. The moral of this story is that you never know what a seller is willing to take as their net unless a buyer submits the offer. And an offer is a way to really start the dialogue on trying to find a solution to make a successful transaction. Bob, the buyer, missed out on the perfect home, and he really missed out on really finding out what sort of terms and price he could have got by having his agent scare him into not making an offer and just moving on to another property. So if you are a home buyer and your agent is feeding you this type of messaging, you really need to think twice about, am I working with the right agent that's really putting my interest first into trying to find me the best home possible for yourself and your family. It's important to really work with an agent who's going to guide you through the buying process, but also going to be your advocate and negotiate and submit the offer and see how it all shakes out if there's a deal to be done. So if you're talking about real estate to any of your friends and the topic of steering comes up, this is probably what they're going to be talking about, is the perception of these buyer's agents who are getting scared and they're steering their buyers into other properties. And as home sellers, you do need to be aware of this as a very real situation that is coming up all the time, and work with a listing agent who's also able to provide the messaging to the buyer's agent so that a potential deal does get done. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. And thanks again for your time. Have a great day.